What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Rogue Bob Gaming. Matt and Eric here. Today, we are talking about Pokemon Trading Card Game Live. As many of you probably know or have found out, they are getting rid of the old client, the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. March 1st, we are switching over to Pokemon Trading Card Game Live. And there are things we hate about it, things we hate not as much about it.
Yeah.
Things we may like. Eric recently just transferred, so I'd like to
Literally
get
the other day.
Literally the other day. And so he finally made the switch because they were forcing us to, essentially.
Yes.
And
That's the only
what are
reason I
like
did it.
your initial thoughts on it? Because I know a lot of people don't like it.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't hate it. I think it's about time for like the aesthetic upgrade and stuff like that. I mean, I tend to not really care that much about like I know I've read something about like the character customization is kind of a joke where there's like only 8 hairstyles, and I'm like, I don't really ever care about that kind of stuff because like, does your character even ever show up in the actual battle? Like where they're like, it's still just like the playing the game is just like you're just looking at your
Playing
cards.
the game.
Yeah, like I don't understand why like not having a cornrows or whatever or dreads. Like I don't understand why that's a big deal. So I never cared about that much. The one thing I'll say that I was excited for about this is, and Matt already knows this, I think he and I both agree on this, but the card building aspect of it, where you can and I'm actually really surprised Pokemon did this, because it's essentially saying you don't have to buy either physical packs and get a code card anymore, or buy the digital code cards online from just online shops where you can get, if it's a new pack maybe or a new set, it's like 50 cents, but like they're essentially like making less money but doing something that I think should have been done a long time ago. Like, how long has Yu-Gi-Oh done the card builder thing? I know you were playing that online where you could like, build cards.
Yu-Gi-Oh just did the crafting when Master Duel came out, so it was probably about a year ago.
Oh, so not that long.
Magic the Gatherings had it for a hot minute.
Yeah.
But I think it's just so viable to have in all those games, because you have, first of all, you'll have a surplus of cards, like the Pokemon Trading Card Game online. You just had like 10 copies of one card, and you only ever need 4. So I do enjoy that it kind of converts those into some sort of token to make cards you may be lacking, instead of just trying to pull that one, or like trying to go through the trading system to find the cards you need. I think it's I love that aspect. I love the crafting aspect of all those card games, but especially Pokemon, now that it finally has it. So I can build decks, because, we're not famous YouTubers. We don't get the, all the cards for free.
Yeah, no
and
doubt.
they go have fun and play them.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to find a way to build decks outside of it. So I enjoy it for that reason, for sure. But I do understand people's gripes, though. I mean, character customization doesn't bother me either.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not like, my character needs to look exactly like me. I do understand wanting to look similar to you. I do understand that. Like, having minimal sometimes sucks. I am a very basic looking person, so I have never really struggled with that.
Me too. I'm like, this is close enough.
So I'm like, I've never really struggled, so I'm so basic looking, but I understand people being upset with that. For me, it's like, and they've tried to fix some of it, it's the glitches I've encountered. It's kind of like Scarlet and Violet with all the glitches it has. And has to this day, and had when it came out.
Can be brutal.
Like, I've been playing through and cards aren't loading correctly.
Yeah.
Sometimes my Pokemon, like, it'll have like a border when it has an ability, it'll shine. Sometimes my Pokemon aren't doing that when I know they can have an ability. And luckily I have the foresight as a player to go, I have not activated this ability yet. I know I can use it. But I'm thinking about a new player. They might not know that they can use that ability just because it didn't work.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm lining up, is like just those little things that, like, and I don't know, the ladder's kind of cool, but I don't know, what was like your first day on it? How much did you play?
Yeah, I haven't even like built a deck yet, so like I didn't, all my cards transferred over just fine, and I just used like the deck that they give you. Is it the Zacian V deck? I think that they just straight up give you to like right away. Yeah. So I'm just playing around with that, and I ended up getting scraped pretty hard by a guy who had a pretty great deck. I forget what it even was, but I the only glitch I had, I just used, so I've only really played with that deck so far. I just wanted to play games to figure out how it worked.
Yeah.
And the one thing I'll say, the only kind of glitch I had was the when I was playing, the guy definitely played Path to the Peak as a stadium card, and I could still use my active card slots abilities, even though the whole point of Path to the Peak is not using abilities. So I don't know.
Box? Is it one of the V?
Yeah, is it?
Was it a V that you were trying to use?
Yeah,
or like a Radiant.
It wasn't Radiant.
Really?
I think it was just
still worked.
It was just a Zacian V. I had it in my active slot. It was just like the regular, the V card they give you in the set. And
yeah. So it was a Zacian V. Yeah, that shouldn't work. I don't think.
Path to the Peak was like your abilities of your Pokemon V cards, I think. Because I read it when he played it.
Yeah,
I couldn't
something
remember.
with like a rule box. It's like your rule box.
Yeah,
or something like that.
I was nearly positive.
I forget the wording on it. I use it. I should know this.
I know. Honestly, so should I. Path to the Peak is it's probably the most popular stadium card at the moment, or at least has been recently. But yeah, I'm almost positive I was not supposed to be able to use Zacian V's ability, but I did. And
yeah,
so,
Pokemon with a rule box in play, both yours and your opponents have no abilities.
Yeah, and I was still able to use
so weird.
his ability. So at least to that one game. So that was weird.
You know what? I feel like that happened to me too. I feel like I was playing a game and I was like, "Am I crazy?"
Yeah.
I was like, because it was my opponent, and I was like, "Am I crazy?" I felt like that should not have worked.
Yeah. So
I guess that's another glitch.
The glitches are kind of confusing because the fact that I think Game Freak does the actual video game like Scarlet and Violet, right?
Yes.
It's a Game Freak, but like. That game was not ready to come out, and they got blasted for it with the amount of glitches and just like redonkulous stuff that I didn't care too much about because at the end of the day, I don't have that super high expectations for anything Nintendo when it comes to graphics or anything, or just even. I mean, it should have been better than what it was when it came out for sure. But like, if I see like Corviknight from really far away, just like really like pixelated wings going, like I'd be like, whatever. But the fact that they can't like anything Pokemon related these days that they try at all to enhance, just comes out so
kinda
sloppy
flops.
at first. Yeah, it's just and this is just an online game. Like maybe in 2005 we would have been like, oh yeah, but there's these glitches, but how cool is this? Like this game should not be glitchy. It's not like it's that
the aesthetic almost looks like it's a 2000s game, which is so funny. And then it begs the other question, why couldn't you have just redone the original client? Like updates happen all the time. Like now I'm not any sort of like computer
coding,
like a computer science engineer, or like I don't code things.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I feel like you could have taken what we had and implemented a crafting system and implemented some new things instead of having us do this whole big reveal of like, oh, Live's coming out, and then we get it and we're like, oh, this was lackluster.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I wanted to mention too that I tried today was you can play on your phone.
Oh yeah, I do enjoy playing on my phone. I will say that. Like sometimes
it's kind of nice when you're in an
break
airport.
At work, I can just get a game in at work. I do love that.
Yeah, if you're in an airport or maybe you have Wi-Fi on a plane, all new Delta planes are coming out with free Wi-Fi now. You don't have to pay for it soon. Anyways, that's it's a side note. But like you can play on an airplane, like that's really nice. I do dig that, especially somebody that doesn't have. I don't have a laptop anymore. I just have an iMac desktop. So, being able to play on your phone, but still, like these aren't insanely high expectations. I remember somebody that Matt and I went to college with. Freshman year. This is 2012-13, and he was playing Yu-Gi-Oh on his phone in the residence hall. And that was 2000.
You can play Master Duel on your phone too, and they don't have nearly as many problems.
I still had an iPhone 4.
Master Duel for a little while.
I still had an iPhone 4 in that time period, and this man is playing Yu-Gi-Oh on his phone. So this is not a new thing. That's a full-blown decade ago, and Pokemon is like, oh man, we're catching up with the times, and they're not. It's like. Now that I think about it, like Pokemon Live isn't really that much, like, it's barely an aesthetic upgrade over online, but I think you're right. They could have just taken online and made it look a little prettier, just done a massive update on it, just made it like what they do with with Safari.
Everything else?
Yeah. when Apple comes out with a new Safari version, it takes a little while to update, but then it looks aesthetically different, or a new iOS for an iPhone, and it's just like, ooh, here's iOS 14, and it looks totally different. They could have just done the same concept. I don't understand. And like I don't know. It's fine.
Because for me, I can forgive a lot. I am a very forgiving person when it comes to my games. Yeah. And like, I like books, plot holes. I'm just a very like, whatever, I'll make it work kind of person. Like Scarlet and Violet wasn't perfect, but I didn't by far. But I didn't really care. I was like, I'm playing it. It's fun, whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel that way about Pokemon trading card game on live.
So do I.
For sure at times, but because I know some people complain about the animations. Like in the old school one, when the card, is like, use Fire Blast, it feels like, when it does 540 damage, it feels like it does 540 damage.
Yeah, it's like impact.
Whereas
it's
like in the new one, no matter how much damage you're doing, it's like, bah,
yeah,
die.
And
I just like, and that doesn't bother me too much, but I also see where people are coming from. Like, for me, I just want to win. Like, I don't care. I just want to play the game. I really could care less. But at the same time, it does feel less impactful when I stomp someone, with a Lunatone that I built up to do 540 damage. You know?
Yeah, and I think like I'm the same as you, where I don't have like, insanely high expectations. I guess my thing though is Pokemon, they can come out. They could have come out with this live literally at any point in time. No, I don't think anybody was really complaining about online. Like they could have waited another 6 months to come out with it. They could have waited another year. I don't think anybody cares. It's not like it's not like their physical cards where like they have a strict schedule where every 3 or 4 months there's a new expansion coming out and they have timelines to meet those. Same thing with a video game. Every 4 years or so, 3 years, 4 years, when they come out with a new video game, like that game has to be done
by that time.
You can't wait another year. Like that's too high stakes. But this could have been like, this is like they could have done it like in a year. Like I don't understand why.
They could have pushed it off. Well, they even did the beta test and people were ripping on it then. And,
big time.
It seemed like they were like, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll come out with it anyway.
I mean, I'd hate to see how many resources Nintendo put into this or whatever, just in terms of like rebuilding some kind of like game platform from scratch and all that kind of stuff. It just seems
that's the whole reason they're canceling online is because supposedly because they want to pool their resources from that game into this one.
Yeah. And again, I don't doubt that once online goes down and they have a month or two to fully, maybe they'll come out with a big upgrade, and all of a sudden when you do 540 damage, it'll be like a bomb goes off, and that would be cool. Yeah. But like, why couldn't it be that way to begin with?
Your phone explodes.
Yeah. Like I don't, or like some kind of, how sick would it be if like, especially on your iPhone, they had a code to, like there was some kind of like language or coding in the background to where like when you did a hell amount of damage, your phone vibrated, like it was like bzzz, and you
like little things like that. Like why can't you do that?
I'm pretty dumb, so I don't know why they couldn't find people, like actual smart people to do this to begin with. Yeah, it's just.
Well, on top of that, speaking of playing off your phone, as much as I adore playing off my phone, again, break at work, I can get in a quick game. I don't have to be at my computer, take up space and time doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed, but it rips through your battery like a mother.
Oh, I didn't even
compared to like other card games. Because I played Magic on my phone, played Yu-Gi-Oh on my phone. No, don't get me wrong, they drain your battery, but like, I feel my phone heating up if I play a couple games in a row.
Oh wow, I didn't notice.
My phone's like hot.
Yeah, I only played one game.
A problem.
I only played one game on my phone, and it wasn't the longest game ever. Sometimes, if you go back on our channel and you see some pack battles that Matt and I have done, sometimes those games can take forever. It'll take 8 turns before Matt or I even attacks because they're pack battles and they're really bad decks. And so, but it was a pretty like quick battle, so I'm gonna pay attention to that next time.
My battery gets shot like really quick, and my battles can go for like 20 minutes, especially because I play a lot of single prize decks just to annoy people. And so I'm doing like a lot of chip damage slowly, and they're like having to take each individual prize card generally. So my battles can go for like 20 minutes. Yeah. But my phone heats up. Yeah. And I'm like, I keep it to one game just because my phone heats up, and I'm like, I don't want it to
that's an interesting
explode.
Thing. That's an interesting thing, and think about, and like, this is like what they came out with on a phone is pretty bare bones. Like if they make a big upgrade to the mobile game as well, where it like vibrates and stuff, oh my god, your phone won't even. It'll go from full charge to 20%.
So they got to do something. Just with it overall, like Pokemon has history of putting stuff out before it's done.
Yeah.
Or before it's like ready.
Well, especially like,
and again, like certain cards aren't loading and stuff, and I just went to go make a gym leader challenge deck,
Yeah.
And I couldn't find the Embor I need.
Yeah.
For my Gym Leader Challenge deck. And I hit all cards, before anybody says in the comments, oh, you got to hit all cards, even ones you don't own, and blah, 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 in the filters. I'm like, yes, I know. I did that. Still couldn't find the card that should be there, realistically.
And, like, I give more grace for Pokemon if they, like, when they came out with Scarlet and Violet, those games weren't done. But I get in that instance, there's so much money on the line. There's so much hype around that product. There's so much everything that, like, there are tons of video games that come out before they're ready. Cyberpunk got blasted. No Man's Sky got blasted for just being bad. And so that one I have a little bit more understanding in because the stakes are so high. But nobody cared about this. I think people were excited when they heard that Live was coming out, but if they would have just not said anything, people would have been totally fine playing online until they knew that they could get Live done or whatever. Or, like, I think customers would rather hear, hey, Pokemon Live's coming out in a year, whatever, and then 2 months or a month beforehand they say, hey, it's not totally done yet, we're back, we're extending this for another 3 months. I think fans would appreciate that. Maybe not so much with the video game, because people hype that forever. People want that on November, whatever. But this,
but to your point, there's no timeline on Pokemon Trading Card Game Live. There was never a timeline. It was supposed to come out even earlier. Remember the code cards were coming out in Fusion Strike?
Yeah, that was
the code cards were in Fusion Strike. Which, by the way, tangent. I've been opening, and tell me if I'm wrong in the comments or if anyone's noticed, but I've been opening Crown Zenith.
Yeah.
And like the pack thing where, like, if it's dark green on the back of the code card, I think they fixed that.
I hope so, because I still don't look at the
because
back
all
of
the code cards were the same, and I pulled some good cards. So I was like,
that was so stupid to me to begin with, that they made the code cards.
So dumb. So dumb.
Why would you do that? Just make them all look the same.
Because then you look at it, even by accident, you're like, oh, it's a bad one.
I haven't looked at a code card. My routine, like, I have a bunch of stuff on my table when I open, and I'll take the code card out, and I will intentionally look away. I'll grab the code card, and I will put it behind something, or I'll just throw it on the floor. I don't even want to look at it, because it ruins the whole experience. The whole reason you buy those packs is to, like, see if... And I already ruin it for myself, because when I do the card trick, I can almost always tell if it's even just a straight-up, like a, well, I guess now an EX card, right? If it's like a full R, or if it has any kind of texture, I'm super sensitive, I can feel it. But still, why did they do that with the code cards? I never understand why they did that. Like, I just don't. I don't think there's a reason they could give that would truly make any sense. That's a whole separate tangent. But that's so stupid.
Yeah, that's definitely a whole separate tangent. I think they fixed it though. But that being said, Live had been promoted for so long, and they kept delaying it. I felt like, because Fusion Strike was like, what, 2-3 years ago when we first started our channel?
Oh, I was going to say
Strike just came out.
Fusion Strike feels like before I even hit puberty. That's how long ago Fusion Strike feels, to be honest. Like,
I still have not hit puberty.
And it's because I think, I've said this before, but I think Pokemon just comes out with way too many physical card expansions in a year. I think they should do 2, one every 6 months. Maybe occasionally.
Have you seen how many Magic the Gathering does?
Yeah, it's all ridiculous. I know
they do a crap ton too.
But there's like different ways to play Magic too, though. Like, you'll have your commander
That's
sets.
true. I would say they go back and forth the different ways you can play, so that at least balances it out somewhat.
Yeah, I'm fine if Pokemon does like 25th anniversary edition, sure. If it's 25 years, do like a celebrations type thing, and then you can have 3 in 1 year. But by and large, I know it's all a money thing, and they're going to keep doing it because we keep buying packs, but it's like, you don't even get time to enjoy the cards. Either on live or in person by the time the next set comes around, unless you're one of these like professional YouTubers that can just drop thousands on booster
drop money
boxes
and keep getting it. Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? So it's like, it just drives me nuts. So I would rather them just do 2 every year. 2 every year, one every 6 months. Just every 6 months there's a new one, so that you can actually like go to tournaments at your local game shop, either online or live now, I guess, or in person, and like actually like give people time to get creative with these decks rather than just like, because whenever you go to a tournament, like a legit one, people are playing the same 3 or 4 decks. It's like, oh, what deck are you playing? Oh, Mew V. And, and you know exactly what you're getting into, because like, it's like the same 4 decks.
And then you got that one guy who went like super rogue, and then ends
like
up
will place really high,
went, like off the. He's either he's like always in the top 3 because he went like way off.
And he's truly
to combat
just
everything that was gonna be there.
And they're truly just winning because nobody knows how to handle their deck because all they see are the same 3 or 4 deck types. And so they see this one single prize deck and they're like, what? How do I beat this?
Right now it's Lugia V-Star. And dude, that's the other thing with Live. I love it and I hate it. I love it as like a player and I hate it as a player. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So, as you've like progressed or as you've said, you got the Zacian deck.
Yeah.
I think it also comes with a Lugia deck. I don't know if it did that for you when you joined, but when I did, it gave me a Lugia deck. It gave me like a Lugia. I don't know if it was Lugia Blissey or not, but it was a Lugia deck of some sort. And I got certain accolades in this past, like, how like they have like the ladder and stuff. That ended. And then I ended up getting like a, what's the word? For him, you played this deck. It's a dark Pokemon, Eternatus.
Oh, I was immediately going to say Muck. I was like, Muck, my boy Muck. Is Muck. Type.
No, it's Eternatus VMAX deck.
Yeah.
Everybody is playing them. Everybody. Yeah. I always see Lugia. I always see Blissey. And I always see Eternatus VMAX. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And like, it's cool that they give you these little pre-constructed decks, but I feel like these new players are just coming in hot.
Yeah.
With like these decks that they're given. And it's cool. I'm glad they can use something. But at the same time, I'm like beating my head against the wall because I've seen the same 3 decks all day long.
Makes it not fun. Yeah, the one thing I'll say, I remember in online when you first start, the decks you would get would be pretty terrible. They'd be equivalent to the box decks you could get for $10 at Target, like the Cinderace or whatever. Single prize. They didn't come with any VMAX or GX tag team, like almost none of them. But it was mainly just to show you how to play the game. You weren't really supposed to win, except against a computer, which is always easy. But yeah, I don't know. Seeing the same 2 or 3 decks over and over again. That's why I like playing somebody who just has a deck where, like, even on turn 4 or 5, you have no idea what they're doing. Like, you're just like, they have like 4 different types out. They have like a grass type, a lightning type, or electric type, psychic type on their bench, and you're like, whoa, what is happening right now?
I just love to see that card flip and I don't go, this one again.
Yeah.
Because once that card flips and it's a Lugia, I go, oh, here we go again. Another Lugia, but it wins. So, of course, people are going to use it because it wins.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the other thing that, like, with Magic, at least in Standard or I think it's all formats, but you're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not trying to get roasted by Magic folks in the comments, but, like, you can use a card that was printed 20 years ago. Like, there's no, like...
In Commander, yes.
In Commander, yeah. Like, there's no...
in other formats, but Commander's the one that we play most often.
Yeah, Commander's the only one I've ever played. But, like, you can grab a card that was printed 15 years ago, and it could still be a good card today. But if you go to Pokemon, you go to a card that was printed 15 years ago, 1, you can't use it unless it's expanded format, I guess. Yeah. And 2,
but then,
it wouldn't
to your point, why would you?
There's no reason.
To your point, why would you? Because like in Expanded, you could just run VMAX and all the other stuff that has come out. So why would you, use something from base set of Pokemon? You know,
and
like
in Commander, you can't have more than one of the same card. Where in Pokemon, like they're gonna like if you're playing Lugia, you're probably gonna have 4 copies of it. I don't know what that deck is off the top of my head, but like most, you're gonna have 4 copies of whatever your win condition is, like or whatever card you kind of need to get out on the board quickly to get to your win condition, like. Commander is like
that's again what I like about Live is that we've been trying to play Gym Leader Challenge for a long time because we think it's cool. Shout out Tricky Jim, and if we wanted to play online, we almost couldn't because we didn't have like the packs from 10 years ago. Yeah, because it's also an expanded format. Yeah. And so the craft system is just, I just think that's the best thing about Live is the craft system. Because now we could probably come out with Gym Leader Challenge content, which is more level playing field, I think.
For sure.
For
us. This is just throwing spaghetti at the wall here, but I don't understand why Pokemon doesn't come out with multiple different ways to play the game, similar to what Magic, Magic has created a pretty great, I think Magic is widely considered one of the best, if not the best card game ever. And so like you have Commander, you have Standard. Like, well, how cool would it be if Pokemon came out with a way to play Pokemon where the energy requirements were different so that you could actually play with like in the video game you have 6 very different types of Pokemon. So you have move coverage, you have your grass type, you have your psychic, you have your dark, you have your fire. But if they had it a way where, like, because now you can't do that. You can't do that in the way Pokemon is played. Only with special energies, but you can only have 4. So it's like it doesn't do you that good. But like if they had a way where they changed energy requirements a little bit to where I guess it would be similar to Magic where they just have mana, you know. But like it's just.
Well, I guess Gym Leader Challenge is starting to become more popular, which is promising.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Which is cool. I enjoy that. But I agree, though. It would be cool if they had other formats that kind of
just
did the same thing where, you know, you had to build a team or something and, like, you know, different things happen. There was different interactions somehow.
Yeah. I just think it would be cool. But at the end of the day, they do what makes money. And I think they could get a little bit lazy because they just know whatever they do is going to make money. Regardless, Pokemon Live should probably not be out right now. It is, so go download it. Go download it. If you have online, go ahead. They're going to shut it down on at the end of March.
March 1st, actually. Beginning
of March. So the end of this month, so you only have a few weeks left to it anyway.
This video comes out, it's like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So just go ahead and convert all your stuff over to Live. All your cards will, up to 4 copies, will get moved over to the new Pokemon Live.
But it's fun. I always say make the most of it. You know, have your gripes, have your wishes, and, you know, hopefully they listen. But at the end of the day, if you want to play, you want to play, and it sucks. But, you know, I try to make the best with what I'm given.
It could always be worse. Yeah. Maybe not a whole lot worse.
We could not have Pokemon at all. We could not have it at all.
Exactly.
And then what would you and I do with our lives?
It's a good question.
Good question indeed.
Not this.
But let us not this. Yeah. But let us know what you all think about Pokemon trading card game Live, the switch over. Are you enjoying it, not enjoying it? But make sure, most importantly, you join the Grandma Squad.
Gma.
All the Gmas. Good portion of our viewers are grandmas, and you could become a grandma too. It's a very prestigious honor.
It's mind-boggling because it's like we reached out to YouTube and we were like, YouTube, why are so many of our subscribers, like 78% of our subscribers are grandmas? And we reached out to YouTube and we were like, is this a trend? Is it because we have baby faces? Like, we're just really confused. And we haven't heard back yet. So we'll let you know.
Who are you?
Yeah. We only talk to people that have at least 1,000 subscribers. So will you help subscribe to this channel so that we can get an answer to our email as to why grandmothers are so popular on this channel? Either way, we hope you like the content. If you don't, that's okay. Pass it to your grandma because we know that she will. So do your grandma a favor. But yeah, like, comment. We appreciate y'all for watching. And we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. So make sure to stay tuned for that.